Qantas thinks that by March of 2024, its international capacity will be around 100% of what it was before COVID-19. This means that the company wants to add more seats and planes to its global network in order to meet this goal. In the past 6 months, Qantas has put back into its fleet 5 foreign planes that had been taken out of service. Some of these planes had been in storage for a long time, while others were on standby as operating spares until the industry stabilized. In May, a brand new Boeing 787 Dreamliner was given to the airline. In June, 2 more of these planes will be given to the airline. Let's chat in detail about it. Qantas Airways Ltd, which is the biggest airline in Australia, said on Friday that it expects its foreign capacity to reach about 100% of what it was before COVID-19 by March of 2024. This is because the company wants to grow its world network by adding more seats and planes. Qantas says that the flight company plans to add about 1 million seats to its worldwide network over the course of a year. Starting in late October, it has added 5 foreign planes to its fleet in the past 6 months. And in the coming months, it will rent 2 Airbus A330s from Finnair so that it can carry more people. In a statement, CEO Alan Joyce said, "The rebound in demand for international travel since borders reopened has been incredibly strong." But he also said that there is a mismatch between the number of foreign flights and the number of people who want to take them. Because people wanted to travel more than ever, Qantas was able to make more money than ever before in the first part of this fiscal year. According to the airline, it will need about 300 more pilots and cabin team members by the end of the year, so that it can offer more flights. In March, Qantas said that it expects the Australian aviation business to add more than 8,500 highly skilled jobs over the next 10 years. This number includes 1,600 new jobs for pilots and 4,500 new jobs for people who work in the cabin. In a second statement made on Friday, the airline said that construction has started on a new flight training center in Sydney. It was said that work had begun on the building, which will start teaching up to 4,500 Qantas and Jetstar pilots and cabin crew members each year by the beginning of 2024. What new problems does Qantas have to deal with now that Joyce is leaving in November? After 15 years of being run by Chief Executive Officer Alan Joyce, it's not easy to figure out how well Australia's biggest airline is doing, whether you're a happy shareholder, a loyal customer, or a former client who was unhappy. There is no doubt that Vanessa Hudson will have a lot to do when he leaves. Among these tasks are finishing a large fleet renewal plan, reaching aggressive decarbonization goals, and preventing more competition in a market where customer loyalty is falling. How she handles these problems will affect the type of planes that airline customers will fly, as well as the price of flights and the quality of service offered by the national carrier, which carries more than 50 million people every year. When the COVID-19 epidemic hit the aviation industry around the world in 2020, just a year into Hudson's time as CFO, Qantas insiders said that she showed she had the guts to be CEO by keeping the business on the ground. Soon after the border closures, a number of airlines, including Qantas' biggest rival, Virgin Australia, went bankrupt, and a number of smaller airlines stopped running. Joyce hasn't been shy about the fact that Qantas was dangerously close to merging with Virgin. However, the airline was saved by its shareholders, who took part in a timely stock raising that was handled by Hudson. In October of the year before, Joyce said, "People forget how low everything was back in March, April, May, and June of 2020. There was no way to get a shot. There was no way it could have as much success as it did. We were looking at 11 weeks of survival," she said, explaining why Qantas' overseas business would be shut down in 2020, despite the huge backlash. Hudson had to raise an extra $4 billion on top of the $1.4 billion it got from the rise in June of 2020, just in order to keep the airline running. As part of the $1 billion reorganization, the plan to cut about 9,000 jobs caused a lot of anger and calls for Joyce to step down as CEO of the company. Qantas has more than recovered from the unstable economy and is making money again. In February, it had a half-year profit of a record $1 billion. This success was made public in February, Some customers thought that the airline had broken the law by charging sky-high fares. And Qantas crew members said that the airline had taken advantage of the COVID-19 outbreak to save money on staffing. Both groups had more negative things to say about the financial report. Some customers thought that the company had made too much money because of the sky-high prices. On the other hand, there are a lot of people who agree with it. In an interview with this publication, Jeff Dixon, who used to be the CEO of Qantas, said that he thought the company had dealt with the problem as well, if not better than, any other airline. Fleet Repair Plan. Even though Qantas is making money again after the COVID-19 outbreak put it $7 billion in debt, the fleet renewal plan has some experts worried. These experts think that the company has way overestimated how much it will need to spend on planes over the next 5 years. The average age of the Qantas fleet has hit a new all-time high of more than 14 years. This is a huge jump from the average age of all Asia-Pacific airlines, which is still around 9 years. The last people in charge of Qantas thought that the age of the fleet was an important part of planning for planes, and they stuck to a rule of 10 years. But Qantas Group Manager Greg Manning said in an interview with The Australian last month that the age of the fleet is less important now that Joyce is in charge. Manning said, "Average age has always been a factor in how we plan our fleet, but it is not the main factor and hasn't been for a while. The average age of our vehicles is not the most important thing we think about when planning our fleet. It's not as easy as just looking at the date the product was made because we change the seats and replace or fix up the engines on most of the planes we keep for a long time." The flight modernization plan that Qantas calls Project Winton will improve the airline's ability to fly both domestically and internationally. Over the next 5 years, the airline thinks the plan will cost a total of $5 billion. However, experts from Morningstar and UBS say it will cost more than $12 billion. Hudson will have to handle the risk without putting shareholder returns or operations at risk. She has said that the airline is ready for this duty because its costs have gone down. The carrier has ordered a total of 118 planes, and all of them are due to arrive over the next 10 years. There are 12 Airbus A350-1000s, 20 Airbus A220s, and 20 Airbus A321XLRs on this list of orders. This year, the first Airbus A321s and A220s will be built. These planes, along with the 109 Airbus A320neos, will replace Qantas' current fleet of Boeing 737s and 717s, which are both used for domestic and short-haul foreign travel. In addition, the number of places will increase by 40%. The A350s are expected to be used for Qantas Project Sunrise long-distance trips starting in 2025. From the east side of Australia, these flights will both go to Europe and New York. As a result of these upgrades, people will be able to fly on planes that use less fuel, are quieter, and have a lot more places. We don't know how much people will have to pay for the pleasure of flying in the new planes, so it's too early to say if they'll be grateful to Hudson for the extra comfort or upset about a price hike. It's too early to tell if they'll be grateful to Hudson for the extra comfort or upset about the higher prices. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more interesting aviation videos.